News Voice is the world's first mobile app that helps you track where your news is coming from. News Voice helps you track what corporate interests might be influencing the narratives in the news you read every day. Arm yourself against corporate media monopolies by downloading the News Voice app for free using the link right underneath this video. So this is actually incredible. This is sort of like the height of a complete disconnect from the real world, facts, rationality, empiricism, common sense, sanity. It's the opposite of everything that is good. I'm going to play a video for you of Trump campaign press communications director Erin Perrine going on Fox News towards the end of Donald Trump's hospital stay for coronavirus. And she says, hey, Trump now is the better candidate than Biden because Trump has the firsthand experience of having the virus. Joe Biden doesn't have that. In other words, you should vote for Trump because Trump has the virus and Joe Biden does not. She's making the case that you should not vote Biden because he lacks personal knowledge of what it's like to have coronavirus. And we're going to play the clip first. This actually is a much bigger issue of the lack of empathy that exists on the American right. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's look at the clip first.
So is that something we should expect with a best case scenario? The president leaves the hospital today, gets back out on the campaign trail. Will we see changed messaging when it comes to the coronavirus? And will it move more to a forefront of the president's messagings and key issues?
Well, firsthand experience is always going to change how someone relates to something that's been happening. The president has coronavirus right now. He is battling it head on as toughly as only President Trump can. And listen, that of course that's going to change the way that he speaks of it, because it'll be a firsthand experience. But, you know, that experience of not only coronavirus, but being president of the United States, that's why you just see a different tone overall from him.
But it's been law and order.
He has the firsthand experience of being.
Sorry, I'm running out of time. But it's been law and order, and it's been the economy. Does this become a key issue for your campaign?
And he's talked about coronavirus as well. He's talked about it all. And listen, he has experience as commander in chief. He has experience as a businessman. He has experience now fighting the coronavirus as an individual. Those firsthand experiences, Joe Biden, he doesn't have those. He doesn't.
That's right, guys. Trump now has experience fighting coronavirus on a personal level. Joe Biden does not, because Joe Biden's been responsible and Donald Trump has not. And it led to Donald Trump very predictably catching the virus. So I guess vote Trump over Biden because Trump has coronavirus. What a loser Joe Biden is. He can't even catch COVID during a global pandemic. Well, tell this to the families of the 215,000. We were just like 80 deaths shy a few hours ago of what will very soon be 216,000 deaths due to coronavirus. Say it to them that Trump is the better choice because he caught the virus. These are people who will say anything at all that in the moment they believe will help get Trump reelected. And now the real thing I want to talk about here is we've talked about, you know, are there Trump voters who might abandon Trump because getting coronavirus makes him look weak, as silly as that is? Erin Perrine is making the opposite argument here, which is vote Trump because he has coronavirus. And, you know, what's the logical conclusion to this? Show your solidarity with Trump by going out and getting coronavirus yourself. I mean, it's the epitome of irrational thinking. And they're almost making having the virus some kind of badge of honor in a sick way. But the really important thing I want to focus in on is, you know, we've talked before about the homophobic Republican politician who only when their kid or their niece or whatever comes out, do they say, I realize I've been hurting people. I never knew what it would be like to have someone in my family. It's this complete inability to empathize with a situation that is not actually their own. That's sort of the basis of this argument, right? If you believe that the only way to really understand the seriousness of the virus and the urgency of dealing with it responsibly is to get coronavirus, then maybe you would vote for Donald Trump. But this is exactly the problem of thinking. We hear from the right all the time these examples of how they can not empathize unless they personally are affected by something. I'm not worried about that because I understand that Joe Biden, much like many people, even without having the virus themselves, can understand the urgency of dealing with it, can understand how highly contagious it is, can understand the health implications, the economic implications, and on and on and on. And then just like to take this for a second and imagine that it's a serious comment, obviously it's lunacy to say, vote Trump because he caught the virus and Biden didn't. That's crazy. It's crazy to say that. It is the last gasp of desperation. Hopefully it won't work. But let's take it seriously for a moment and imagine for a second that we want to evaluate this as a serious thing to say. Trump got the virus, received a helicopter ride to top-notch healthcare from a team of 10 doctors and who knows how many nurses and support staff in a 6-room medical suite, or however many rooms it is, at Walter Reed Medical Center. Trump still doesn't have experience receiving the inadequate, unaffordable health care while either having lost your job or having to figure out how can I survive because now I can't work because I have the virus that has affected so many Americans. Even the argument that now that Trump had the virus, he better understands the experience of Americans, that's also wrong. Trump still, despite having coronavirus, does not understand the typical experience for an American who either has or is related to someone who has had serious coronavirus. And again, why do they need to experience it personally to finally have an awakening and understand it? It's like the anti-gay Republican who understands their own homophobia once their kid comes out as gay or their niece comes out as a lesbian or whatever the case may be. These people are disgusting and we absolutely must remove them.